podcast with Ron Ewens.
Oh, for flip's sake. So welcome along to another podcast today with one of the best duos to come out of Ireland, I would say, in the dance music old school. Partners with the main man, DJ Tizer, and featured on one of the best tapes, I would say, the Live in Dublin. It is not a DJ this time, but MCDC. How's it going, mate?
Doing well, Ron. Good to be here.
So this is just you haven't seen any podcast things in?
No. I'm not all this new technology thing, you know.
There's a cracker one that you should listen to. It's No Mallorca Lee from Ultrasonic.
Yeah, do you? Yeah.
So he has guests on. He's had like Dream Frequency and Rhythmic State, Fergie, X-Ray, Trevor Riley, and I know he talks to them for like a couple of hours just about their journey in music and all the things that they've done. It's a great listen. Like, I love listening because I talk about all the old school and all the stuff like that there. So that's what we just want to do. You talk about like your sort of journey and what you've been up to and where you've been and what you've done and all. So usually go back to the start, like, and how you get into music and stuff like that.
Well, the first, I used to go to Circus.
Yeah.
As a punter.
Were you always into the rave then, or?
Well, I used to live I lived in Germany.
All right, did you?
Before I was in the army. So
somebody posted out there.
I was posted out to a place called Lemgo in Germany, and we used to go down across the border into Holland.
Right.
In like 92.
Yeah.
You know, so we were getting the early.
Yeah.
You know, the early stuff coming out of Amsterdam and Rotterdam, you know, and we used to go down to the raves down there, you know, so that's where I first get into it, you know.
Yeah.
And then in 1984, I was posted back here to Northern Ireland again, and I left the army. And we used to just go to Circus.
Yeah.
Just that was the place to be, do you know what I mean? That was...
When was when it was Robbie and stuff doing it at that time?
I was Robbie, I was Robbie Nelson, Jacko, Marty C, MC Rock was the MC then. That's what he was.
I was going to say to you there, where it actually is Circus, because I know I've never known actually whereabouts in Banbridge it was. Like,
well, if you head up Banbridge and you go onto the main street and go up over the hill, it's actually a bingo hall.
Oh, the bingo hall now.
Beside it,
probably the same people going to it then. They're all that age now.
It's probably that age now. Most of the old Circus ones are probably in playing the bingo. No, it's right in the middle. Just there's a set of traffic lights. Basically, just takes you across to it. And it's the upstairs. Was the old Circus.
After the coach then that way?
After the coach, way after the coach.
Was the coach going then? Whenever
the coach was going then, yeah.
What kind of stuff were they playing back in the old? Was it like more of a disco?
It was more of a disco vibe. Do you know what I mean? Then, and Wednesday night was like a student night.
Yeah.
And then when Circus was going full bore, then the coach sort of came around and started playing the ravey stuff, and then it meant then was Wednesday night, same as the coach, and then Saturday night was. Because
you always heard of Circus Banbridge. And then you never heard of the coach, but it was only when Circus shut, really, I think the coach, you started hearing about the coach and Mark Wesley coming through. But going back to the Amsterdam and stuff like that, that's really class. Like, what were them clubs like?
Oh, they were immense.
Yeah.
They were something else, do you know what I mean? You know, not to bring up, you know, certain things, but I mean, everything was checked, and if it wasn't right, we're given a new one, you know.
We'll know what relates to Amsterdam without saying.
You know, but the scene down in Amsterdam was brilliant. You know, it was just emerging then. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just starting to, and you could really feel it. You know, it was really good. You know, and Rotterdam was more. You know, it was more Rotterdam than Amsterdam. You know, I mean, Amsterdam's what it is. It's touristy, and you know, but Rotterdam had the scene. You know, and. Yeah, the DJs were coming up through Rotterdam, you know.
I remember like a lot of the old hardcore. You had the Rotterdam hardcore, which is like really banging, GABA sort of stuff. Like, do you remember any DJs from the?
Oh
place?
God, no, jeez, no, can't remember any of their names. Like, because obviously I wasn't into the scene then. It was just a clubber then, you know.
Yeah. And was there an MC or anything at those?
No, not then. No. The first actual MC I actually heard was MC Rock
in the circus.
in the circus. He was the first MC I'd ever heard.
Yeah. What? So you would have missed the Hellraisers and Vengeance and stuff, would you?
Hellraiser. I'm not too sure. I don't think we ever done one.
No.
So it could have been before then. Yeah.
I think they were 92, 93 with Pablo Gargano, and then it went on to Vengeance and Coleraine in the Jet Center.
Yeah.
And I think I was 94. So you say you come back about 94?
I come back about 94. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about. I think I come back in July, so it was.
Yeah. How long were you posted over in Germany? Yeah?
I was there from 1990.
And was the Berlin Wall, had it fell yet? I was at 91 or 81 or 80?
It fell while we were there.
Was it?
So it was,
Brilliant. I think James's dad, was he posted there, James? Hona,
yeah. Yeah.
And when the Berlin Wall fell, I think his dad got a Russian's helmet or something like that there from the orphan. Oh, nobody can hear you. People wondering who we're talking to, a ghost.
Yeah, my dad swapped a Russian soldier, like 6'2", came up to him and said, looked him in the eye and went, rock and roll, like that. And it's like, because they wanted tapes of Metallica and Guns N' Roses. Yeah. And so my dad just happened to have tapes, that they were copies, and he swapped his jacket and his cap, Russian soldier hat, for these two tapes. And yeah, they were just selling all their stuff off. Isn't that
unbelievable? Like,
pretty cool.
Because they had nothing then, didn't they?
Well,
like
that's it. I mean, they were coming across with zero. Do you know what I mean?
Nothing. The Eastern Bloc. Jeez, that would have been a mad time then. What sort of things were you seeing then? Were you close to Berlin then?
No, we were a good bit away. So we were a good bit away from Berlin.
That would have been mental, like, sort of seeing that there. What made you join the army?
I think it was always, I grew up in West Belfast, so I mean, on the peace line.
Yeah.
And it was just always soldiers about. And Black Mountain Primary School, as it is now, up in Spring Martin, used to be Black Mountain Fort.
All right.
Used to be, half the school was for the kids to go to school, and half the school was for the soldiers to stay in. Because they hadn't built White Rock Fort then.
Yeah. So they just needed somewhere to stay.
So they needed somewhere to stay. So they stayed in the primary school, which is basically on our back garden.
Yeah.
So we used to have soldiers basically walking past the house like every 2 minutes a day.
That's crazy now, like thinking like the impression that soldiers would have had on young kids.
On young kids,
they would have thought like, oh, that looks cool. Give me a gun.
Well, there was a lot of young kids from especially my age. I mean, I joined the army at 15. I had my paperwork signed at 14. So I knew what I wanted to do. I was always going to be a soldier. But the life back then sort of dictated, you either got out of it or you stayed in it. Do you know what I mean? And I just wanted to get out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, you have to put things in perspective of where we are today and where we were then. Do you know what I mean? A young man growing up in the Shankill, 14 and 15, in the 1980s had no prospects, none, zero. There was none. You either went away and got a job, or you stayed here and went on to a brew. And my thought was, I'm getting out of this. I
had the same sort of thing growing up in Rathcoole, like in the 80s, and everywhere you looked, there was just people were unemployed. It was your dad's, uncles, friends' dads.
That's it. If you wanted to get something, if you wanted to do something in your life, you had to move out of Northern Ireland. Do you know what I mean? Where now there's a lot more. There's a lot more opportunities here now than when we were young. Do you know what I mean? It's
hard to imagine how it was like sort of back then. I listened to like a podcast called The Troubles, and it's a guy that does all factual stuff about all the different parts of it, like, and listening to it, you're sitting going, Jesus, was that? I can't remember what it was like out there.
It was scary. I mean, as I say, I grew up in the West Belfast Peace Line. You know what I mean? So, we've seen it day in, day out.
Yeah, It was a daily life thing, wasn't it? Like, me and Jamie were on this here before, and we were talking about the shippings and all that sprung up because of the troubled people just wanted to.
I'd say everybody wanted to stay to their own area. You didn't want to venture out. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why the shipping sort of, came about. Because people didn't want to go into town.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People were scared to go into Belfast.
And then,
I remember bringing my in-laws from my first marriage. I was actually married to a girl in Newcastle upon town in England. Mm-hmm. And I remember bringing her family here for the first time here. And it was like 1992. Yeah. And we're walking back from a day trip in Bangor. We just come out of Oxford Street bus station. And we're walking up. And there was a bomb at the City Hall. The thing went off. And it's, do you mean, that's our first time in Belfast, and there's a bloody bomb going off the side of City Hall.
And you're like, don't worry about it.
And I was saying, that's all, sure, we'll go just down this A street here, we'll be all right. I mean, we'll go through the hours. And they were all panicking, boom, boom. And we were like, nah, it's all right, don't worry, just go through this wee side street here, so it shows you the mentality of Belfast people as well, do you know what I mean?
They had a dark sense of humour about it, really. Like, it was just like, my mate is, his, from a long one here, my mate's girlfriend's mum's boyfriend. Right? That's
not fair, like.
So he was in the army, and he was saying that he was over here living for about a year. This would have been early 2000s. But he had only moved over here for a year because he had met her mum, but he said he was like really nervous. He didn't want to go anywhere. And we were like, why? And he says, I was over here in 1970 something when he was 17 or 18. And he says, my first job was picking up my mate off the floor, his guts and his legs, and putting them in, just throwing it into a bucket because a bomb had exploded and killed him. And he says he just went fucking.
Well, I remember going to school and the Highfield bombing that happened. Mm-hmm. We were, primary school kids, like. And I can remember walking through it would be classic crime scene now, do you know what I mean, with the bomb site, and seeing an ear and a finger sitting outside the butcher's office. I mean, we were kids, like, do you know what I mean, going to school, and that's, we had to walk through that, do you know what I mean, so it was harrowing times, like, do you know what I mean?
And the wonder why, like, the suicide rates are massive high, and the mental health and are out of control.
Well, I think that's why we'll have to, we'll have to strive to make sure we don't go back, do you know what I mean, because, we couldn't go back that again.
No, definitely not. Like, I think now a lot of people see what it's like not living in that there, and like they know, like, definitely not. But we'll try and go back to the music.
Yeah, back to the music again. Get away from this depressing side of it.
And the music sort of saved it, really, didn't it? Because it brought people together.
That's the thing. I mean, you see if you take the dance scene in the early 90s. I mean, as I say, 1984, I started going out, do you know what I mean? Because I could go out, when I was getting discharged from the army, and you was getting discharged from the army. And, things were progressing on that way. And I knew I could go out to Circus, and places like that. Callie's was booming then, But, we used to drive down to Circus, in the back car park, over, queue up like everybody else, and then... But the thrill, just waiting. The whole week. You were 6 more sleeps, 5 more sleeps, 4 more sleeps, circuses on, off, under. And then you always got the flyer from the week before. You always handed the flyer going out, and you always knew who you were going. And you were so pumped, to go down till it, And it was a good drive. It was a good drive, especially from people from Belfast. Do you know what I mean? Getting home then was a nightmare.
I know. The people. Everybody drove everywhere, like all the clubs. Like nobody would do it now. Like they just didn't give a crap.
We started putting buses on then. When we're going forward a wee bit now, do you know what I mean? But I used to put the buses on the exit 15. We used to run buses from Belfast. So with that, and then up to when exit got shut down, then the buses then reverted and we went to Kilwater.
Yeah. So what was your first clubbing experience when you came back? Was it the Circus?
Mine was Circus, yeah.
And what did you think? In what capacity was Circus?
Circus was an experience from the minute you hit the front door. Because you hit the 2 double doors and you looked and it was a set of stairs and it was like ascending to heaven. So it was. As you went up and the further you get up the stairs, you could hear, hear the music. you know, and the goose body and the goose, and, you know, the goodness in the stomach and the hair starting to stand, the butterflies, and then you hit the top deck. The cloakroom was on your left, and you went through another set of double doors, and there was the big, the iconic image, the clown, and the circle, and then you went sort of left and right round him, round that wall.
All right.
And then there it was then the dance floor. You had cubicles down the sides, a big massive axe in the middle of the dance floor. So you had what you could stand on.
Right. So was it up off?
It was up off the floor. It was just a big giant axe, and it was on the axe. You know, it was on the axe. You know, giving it stacks, and then further that, then you had the stage, and then built into the wall. Then you had the DJ box. You know, looking out. You know, it was awesome. Like.
I'd love the experience though. Like all I could do was listen to tapes because I wasn't old enough to go. Like, you know, all the circus stuff.
For me, that it still is. I mean, I've played. I mean, you know, me and Taser's been around the world. Do you know what I mean? And to me, circus, there'll never be
nothing like
never be a club like it.
I was talking to Stevie B here last week or the week before, and we were saying like, what's your best gig you've ever done and stuff, and he was like, you know, I can't tell, but we sort of came to like agreement that like there's maybe one or two recent, but then when you go back to them sort of days, everywhere was rammed as well, wasn't it? And it was just
there wasn't a spot to be had. Do you know what I mean? Me and Taser started, you know, funnily, realistically. Do you know what I mean? I used to love. I bought the Rock and Taser done a tape.
Yeah.
So they had. I'd say about October of '94. They done a mixtape.
Was Taser in it at this stage?
Taser was only starting, so Taser wasn't a headline act or nothing. Do you know what I mean? He was sort of like Robbie was still the man. Do you know what I mean? Robbie was still closing all the sets out. And Taser was sort of like in the middle. Yeah. You know, and as I say, we used to mess about on the way home in the car. You know, and I would pretend I was MC Rock, and I would do all the I would do all the lyrics, and we're messing. And we'll get back to we're actually in Rockcool because I had actually started. My wife's from here, from the estate, and I just started going with her, and we're actually in a house in Linford Green, so we're sort of just messing about one night, and you'll not believe this, but. Can you remember, or you probably still get them? Do you know what I mean? I don't have kids. I've just got grandkids now. But can you remember the wee box you used to get and had the mic beside it and had like a wee tape recorder in it? Yes. And the kids used to sing and you used to be able to record the kids. Well, I reversed the tape, that MC Rock DJ Taser tape, and I sort of cut the rock out of it and inserted my own lyrics into it. And as I say, it was a mess about one Saturday. It was early or Sunday morning, you know, after coming back from circus. And we were sort of just messing about. And I didn't, unknown to me, somebody had taken the tape and give it to Taser. And we used to go to Taser's on a Wednesday night for a bit of crack. And we used to go to Coach. Yeah. And then we used to go to his house early on a Saturday, have a bit of crack, a few wines, a few bottles of bucky. And then we all used to go to circus together. Yeah. So that sort of became a sort of thing. And we were sort of standing one Wednesday night and he put the tape on. And he went, "That you?" I went, "Oh, no, that tape. No, you know, do you get that? You know, I'm going to kill you." And, you know. And he says, "Right, come on." He says, "I'll have a mess about that." And
in his house?
And it's just in the garage. Do you know what I mean? And it was the same mic. It was actually a kid's radio mic. Do you know what I mean? And we plugged it into his hi-fi. I mean, it worked. Do you know what I mean? It worked. It was just on one of the others. Do you know what I mean? But with this kid's mic, and we used to just sit and mess about with it. Do you know what I mean? Just and that's basically how DC started. Do you know what I mean?
So did you think before that there when you were using the kids mic thing and messing about in there, did you go, "I'd love to do MC listening to the Rock, MC Rock"? Were you going, "No,
that was, you know, that's a pipe dream for some reason."
Yeah, you sort of just,
you know what I mean? That's like, you know what I mean?
But was that what were you fascinated with the DJing or the MC?
No, I was fascinated with the MCing because when you're in the crowd, you know, and you're just a punter, and you see him on the stage. Do you know what I mean? And everybody reacting just to him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, oh, that there's, you know.
I agree. Like the MCs just sort of just lift the crowd just a wee bit, just say something, and it just lifts the atmosphere that there a wee bit. Funny enough, like I started out as an MC as well, MC Ron. Like, when I started out before I got Dex, I thought I'm going to be an MC, and I had my own wee book of rhymes and stuff. And then I got, I don't know, confidence sort of knocked me, and I was just like, I can't talk in the microphone, so I'll just stick to DJ.
I mean, how I actually started in circus was Early Years Night 1984, and he just came down out of nowhere. I was standing on the axe with my wife, well, my girlfriend then, Joanne, and her family, and you know, we're just raving. I mean, we're just giving it stacks. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause it was Early Years Night, a hell of a lineup on. You know,
who was on?
I think Dream Frequency was on. Yeah, Dream Frequency was the, you know, they were the headline. You know, they were the big act, and Taser was closing. You know, because Taser went from Robbie had left, and Jacko had left, and Marty. There was a big row there, from what I believe.
I was wondering why it went from sort of the Emmons to.
Well, I think there was a bit of a row with the Emmons, the owners, Graham Henry, and I can never remember the other guys from Newton Ards used to own the Knightsbridge.
Oh, right, yeah.
The guy that owned the Knightsbridge, he owned half a circus, and there was he owned the other half. But there was a row between the Emmons, and then Taser was moved down, but up, if you know what I mean, down the pegging order and on the flyer. But you know yourself, if you're bottom of the flyer, you're the main act. So
yeah, the resident sort of.
you're the resident, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, say raving away, 1984, Early Years Night. Next thing, Taser appeared in front of me, a microphone. He says, "Let's go, it's your turn." And I wasn't good, let's put it that way.
What?
The nerves just completely took over, and I remember being sick off the side of the stage before I even opened my mouth.
Jeez.
Do you know what I mean?
It meant so much to you, really.
It's just the nerves, it just got that much. And as I say, the way circus was, the DJ booth was behind the wall. So you could only sort of lean in and go, what do you want me to do? Do you know what I mean? What do you want me to do? And then he was like waving me through, and went down round into the back room and had a wee chat and all. And he says, "Listen, I just want you to do exactly what you've done in the garage, all right?" He says, "Well, I'm going to play the exact same tunes." He says, "You know the tunes." He says, "Just get them as going." He says, "That's all you need to do." He says, "Just get them as going." And I didn't even have an MC name.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, I'd never thought about it, you know. And Taser come up with as he says, right, he says, "Just Axe TC." He says, "That's what we'll call you." He says, "Just MC Axe TC." And I was like, that sounds all right. Do you know what I mean? And then Graham Henry came into the room, who was, he was part owner of Circus, and he says, "Right, what are we going to call you?" And Taser says, "We'll call him Max TC." And he says, "Oh, God, no, you won't." He says, "I can't be putting that in the flyer." He says, No. He says, "That's not going on the flyer." He says, right, we're sort of sitting hand. He says, what's this, Darren? He says, "Darren's your first name." He says, "Right." He says, "I'll tell you what." He says, "We had a brilliant MC in here last week." He says, MC.
MC.
He says, "You'll be DC." He says, "So what's you?" He says, that's your name." He says, "You'll be MCDC." He says, "So MC last week." He says, "You'll be MCDC." He says, and that's sort of how it came about.
I think it's perfect, and it's just so MCDC, you know.
You know, well, that, as I say, the concept was, I have to give that to Graham Henry, the owner of Circus, because it was him come up with a name. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good one.
And it was an off the cuff thing. It was like a 2-minute discussion in the back before Taser was about to start his first record. Do you know what I mean?
And what were you like the first time you said it down a microphone? Like?
Oh, goosebumps! The first time I actually said the infamous line, "I DJ Taser and MCDC." Do you know what I mean? I have goosebumps. Even Taser says, but the first time I said it on the mic, he knew then.
It just sounded perfect.
He says he knew then that that was it. The concept was born.
Did you introduce him then, or was it just?
I introduced him. Yeah, I'd actually taken Dream. For the first thing was to take Dream Frequency off. That was the first thing I had to do. That night was take Dream Frequency off the stage, and then introduced the man.
How did you meet Tizer? Start with just for going to circus and
Just by going to the circus, and then my brother and his mates used to go. They were friends. They'd met Tizer obviously before I had met him, and they used to go to the garage on the Wednesday and on a Saturday, and then sort of the brother was like, "Oh, damn, we just sort of crack, you know," because I said I was only home from the army and sort of didn't know, you know, didn't know anybody, you know, we fresh face, you know. And it was my brother sort of took me under his wing and says, "Come on down with us, you know, I mean, have a bit of crack." And because he used to go down to Darrell's place in Snaffy Records in Belfast. He used to go down. They used to go down there every Saturday, but I wasn't sort of, you know, I wasn't sort of into it then. You know, I was sort of.
What age were you then?
20.
20.
Aye. I joined the army. I was 16 was joined the army, so.
And then 4 years.
I think it was about 21 when I come back. I was about 21 when I come back. Aye.
So what about Darrell? Where's he been or whatever? What's happened to him?
I don't know. I mean, to me, Darrell was one of the best DJs. I love it. See, his mixtapes were brilliant. Darrell 13 was. I think I actually outplayed the tape.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think we played it that much. We actually outplayed it. It was. I mean, Darrell 13 to me was probably the best mixtape ever.
Yeah, that was the kind of talk back there before Tizer and stuff came in. It was like, I've got the new Darrell tape, Darrell 16.
That's it. Darrell, he was the man. Do you know what I mean? Because he owned Snafu. Do you know what I mean?
Getting all the records.
You could go down and you could listen to the tunes, and you know, and he didn't mind. You know, that was the thing. I mean, you went into the Darrell shop and there was like 40 or 50 people in it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? But you know, they were all there for the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And going back to what you were referencing earlier on about, the religion thing, and that just died. There was no religion. I mean, you know yourself, Tizer's Catholic. Do you know what I mean? And I'm a Protestant, so we've been friends for 30 years now. You know, and it was that scene that brought it. I mean, the scene killed religion. Yeah, because there wasn't any.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Do you know what I mean? The religion just completely went out the window, and it was just. You were there for the music. You weren't there for anything else. I mean, you were just there for the music.
Definitely. People found common ground. Like, we both love this, so, you know.
Well, that's it. I mean, and there was never a fight. I mean, and the whole time I was in Circus, Exit, and Kilwater, I think I made him in one fight in Kilwater the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
And that's going from the Baseline magazine.
Oh,
you know, I mean, because that sort of took over, you know. Yeah. Eddie sort of came in and sort of put a lot more, you know, oomph into the scene. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it sort of took somebody like Eddie.
Was he knocking about Circus at that stage, Eddie? Or?
No, Eddie sort of came in. Me and Tizer to fall out with Graham Henry. Yeah. When we left Circus. I left first because he brought another guy in, MCTNT. Don't worry, you can remember him.
Yeah, he's a black guy, wasn't he?
He's a black guy, and he brought these. He had his own dance. He had his own dancers, and you know, he had a full stage show.
All right,
you know. You know, like,
he wasn't from here, was he? Was he like?
No, he's English. He was from London. He was just somewhere just outside London. He was from. Yeah. He was a nice fella, do you know what I mean? But I mean, obviously I didn't like him because he was coming over to take my job, do you know what I mean? So
at that stage it was just one MC for all night, the whole night. Not
you done one
DJs didn't have their own.
No, DJs didn't have their own, no. Right. But then sort of when Circus closed and Tizer left Circus then, went in with Eddie. And then I was Tizer's MC. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? I've been asked to do numerous jobs over the years, do you know what I mean, to do that. And I wouldn't. I mean, I always thought I owed a loyalty to Tizer, do you know what I mean, because I was let go from Circus, and then 3 weeks later he was like, if you're not bringing them back, I'm gone. So, and he
Yeah,
left as well. Do you know what I mean?
You
So,
have stuck together well, like. What sort of tunes was Tyser playing before his circus? Then, whenever you were just kicking off the MC, and what big tunes was?
no, he was still. I mean, he was still, because happy hardcore was just sort of in its infancy. Do you know what I mean?
Because I remember the Best of Circus tape. One side was sort of like pumping house sort of thing,
Yeah.
and the other side was hardcore. So it must have been a mixture in circus at that stage, or sort of.
Well, you sort of had. I mean, that was a good thing about circus, because you had all genres sort of. You went down early, it was house. Then it went to sort of happier house, and then it went to a bouncy house, and then Taser come on. Do you know what I mean? Just the techno and just killed the place. Do you know what I mean? So that was a good concept about Taser, about circus, because you had 4 different DJs playing 4 different styles of music.
Yeah.
So it sort of catered for
Yeah.
all tastes. Do you know what I mean?
So that was a good idea. Like, can you remember any tunes then from then, or what ones were you like on the X going? Yeah.
I'm really no good with tunes. So I'm really not like.
I don't know. Just
People say to me, "Oh, can you remember that tune?" And I'll go, and they'll give me the name of it, and I'll go, "No, mate, you need to tell, you need to sing it, I need to hear the sound before because I'm not playing the record."
Oh, I see it. You just know that one goes like that.
That one goes like that, or that one goes like that there. But no, Dream Frequency. I was right into Dream Frequency.
Take me to the top.
Ultrasonic was. I mean, they were just coming to the fold. Ultimate Buzz. Ultracitic, which a lot of people probably haven't heard of.
Don't think I have.
Do you know what I mean? But they done a song, Nothing Lasts Forever. And it's a tune. And I mean, it is an absolute banger of a tune. But again, sort of didn't get the recognition that it deserved. But I mean, if people want to look it up,
I must say, who was it? Ultra what?
Ultracitic.
Ultracitic.
Nothing Lasts Forever, you call it.
Look it up, see if I know.
And it is, but once you hear it, you'll be like,
yeah,
I remember that from back in the day, but nobody ever remembered who ever played it. So I mean, but that always stuck in my head. That Ultrasonic tune. Do you know what I mean?
Very good. So it was Ultrasonic and stuff. Coming over to circus, who was your favorite sort of PA?
I love Mallorca.
Yeah,
I did.
I think you're very like Mallorca and their MCing and sort of stuff as well.
Mallorca. When we first started me and Tace, people you would get the people coming over to the clubs, like Mallorca and MC Lively and MCB from Ultimate Buzz.
Yeah.
People like that there, and you would sort of get a chat with them, and try and get, because they were huge. Do you know what I mean? And I was a wee bottom feeder, so I would be trying to pick up wee tips. And Mallorca Lee always, and I always remember him saying this to me. He says, "An MC is not there to be heard; he's there to be seen." And people may think that that's
bit of an oxymoron, right?
that's, you've got that the wrong way around. You don't mean to reverse that, but an MC's not there. An MC's there to gratify or to showcase the DJ. He's not there to showcase himself, and that's what that's the first thing he said to me. He says, "You're not there to be the show.
It's not all about you.
It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about the man that's behind you, and you have to always remember, he's the one playing the tunes, so he's the one that needs the recognition. I mean, you have to give him the recognition. Do you know what I mean? So,
do you ever hear some of the MCs these days? Not your.
I do. Yeah.
The ones from the bounce scene in the Northern England.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking the whole way through the tracks.
To me, that's where that concept comes in.
Yeah.
You have to go back to what you were told at the start. When the MC should be seen and not heard. An MC should only, in my opinion, be coming in when he needs to come in.
Yeah.
If the crowd's faded a wee bit, or if there's a banging tune coming on, you know what I mean, to lift them, and get them ready for that.
Yeah.
That rush of the pure energy that the track provides. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, I agree. And it does work.
It does
100%.
work, but he needs to, as I say, an MC needs to know when to shut up.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can ruin a set, and the perfect concept of it's live in Dublin.
Yep.
If you anybody listens to live in that live in Dublin tape, it's that there's the right amount of MCing for
definitely.
for any gig, even for for Circus or for Planet Love, that there is the perfect amount of MCing. Know when to come in and know when to shut up.
Yeah, it's a trick that's been lost, I think, now.
Yeah, because it's all as you said there. It's all
The whole way through.
It's all about them now. Do you know what I mean? Where that wasn't the concept of an MC.
It's even got in Northern England. The MCs tell the DJ not to play a vocal song, so they can rap the whole way through.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I go back to the old of what Mallorca told me. Do you know what I mean? Less is more.
I hate that new stuff that grinds me.
No, they need to learn to. And you're saying now, but even if you go back 10 years, the new upcoming MCs were all about themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't about showcasing the DJ. Where I was always taught showcase your DJ because he's the number one.
What do you think stood out about Tizer with the music and stuff?
It was the way he could scratch a record. It was the way he could mix a record.
I think
He could turn. You could give him 2 country and western
yeah,
records, and he would be able to mix and scratch them into any rave set.
yeah. That's how
And that's, to me, that's that's a talent, and it's that's just pure talent.
he was very creative. Like he was like really the first person I know. Like Trick's done 3 decks and stuff but he was the one that done like 3 decks properly. And then he had the acapellas and the scratching and the mixing 3 together and putting 2 tunes together, sort of like, and it was just phenomenal. Like for like a young DJ listening to that there,
To watch him live,
Yeah.
People maybe have seen me, on stage and with, but if you're ever at a gig and even now, if you watch me, I'm watching him. Do you mean I'm still watching his hands? Do you mean because, and that's another trick that sort of Tizer taught me as well. If his hand goes near that fader or goes near that record, shut your mouth.
All right.
Because he's just about to go into a scratch, or he's just about to go into a mix, or he's just about.
Yeah.
The crowd want to hear that. They don't want to hear me yakking over the top of it. And that's what's lost on modern day MCs.
Yeah.
You need to watch the DJ. Because if you're watching the DJ and he goes to go into a scratch, you need to shut your mouth, because he needs to, he needs to
You probably put him
that
off
out,
as well, like,
and most MCs talk over the scratching and
the mixing stuff.
and that's when the punters get annoyed then with the MC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So was that you finished with Circus then once you went and then he went for?
Yes, that was Circus. Unfortunately, done and dusted.
Where did you?
But I think Circus was on a downfall anyway.
Yeah.
I think it was only going one way.
Was it the drug sort of thing?
The drugs had taken over. The drug boys had taken over. Basically, it wasn't Circus anymore. They were lifting floorboards and finding hundreds of thousands of stuff onto the floorboards.
Because there was a massive crackdown from police at that stage, wasn't there? Like just trying to get every club closed down. And...
Yeah, I think there was a big thing in Bridge as well. The locals weren't happy that. There was 20,000 clubbers descending on this small, little town.
And it is weird, like,
in rural Northern Ireland. Do you know what I mean?
Because all the best clubs were all like towns. Like you forget about Belfast, like it was all like Bridge, Cookstown as well.
Cookstown was.
Kelly's, Portrush.
Cookstown used to be brilliant.
Armagh, the Met.
You say Portrush, Kelly's, and you Tracks as well.
Tracks,
Tracks was brilliant.
I love Tracks too. Like,
I was just coming off the train and out just down and round the corner, and most times you didn't get round a corner because the queue was already past the train station. You actually had to go out and walk in the other direction to join the queue to get into tracks.
Again, I missed the heyday. Like, I was the first time tracks, I think it was must have been 2001 or something. It was like Scott Project or something on, like, but just walking in and seeing it and going, oh, this is tracks in, you know.
Oh, I used to any time we done tracks, it was always a good night.
Special.
You know what I mean?
And where do the people come from? Like,
It's,
it's bananas. It's come from
we
everywhere.
had a lot of caravans up that way, so you know.
Gypsies.
There's a lot of after parties and a few caravan sites around Portrush, I can tell you, and Port Stewart.
Yeah. So what was after circus for you, Sam? So exit then?
Circus, and then we went. There was a few, you know, bits and pieces. A few gigs in Newcastle, a few gigs in Belfast. Just Eddie was sort of just coming to the coming to the fore then. A few round Lisburn and stuff. And then Exit opened. Eddie Ray got in contact, and
I loved that Baseline magazine when it was out. Like,
well, that's sort of Baseline launched, and then Exit 15 sort of happened on the back of the launch of Baseline magazine.
And what was Exit like as a club?
Exit was good. Exit was, the DJ box was behind. It was a really weird concept.
Yeah.
You had a stage. The DJ box was completely on the opposite wall, built into the wall.
All right, so you would have been looking at Taser.
So I'd have been looking at Taser,
right,
unless he was doing the 3 decks thing.
and they put that on the stage.
And we put that on the stage. But most of the time, the stage was mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would usually say, people, you know, when people want to get up and onto the stage, is this, the dance night, but I go there.
Have your own dancers.
Just to sort of take the limelight away from me. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure it would be dead.
There's massive
lonely,
stage, you know what I mean, and everybody's just glaring at you. Do you know what I mean? So I would sort of, people would say, he sounds like getting up, man. I'm on ahead. I'm one of the Mario. I'm on ahead.
Yeah.
We would get in trouble with the bouncers over it. Do you know what I mean? But
get down.
it was that. I don't know where it was fear, but it was that.
Yeah, being the centre of
You're
attention.
the centre on the stage, and the DJ box is completely in the other direction. Do you know what I mean? So.
Jeez. Who was the other MCs at the time? You had MC Doodley, didn't you?
Doodley was.
For Eddie.
Doodley was Eddie's MC. Aye.
Who else was knocking about at that time?
MC Go.
MC Go still going.
He's still going now. Yeah, he's working with the Energy Boys. So he is. There was another couple. I mean, there was one called. There actually was one come up called XTC. Believe it or not.
Stole their name.
So he was. I think he was Donegal Road, sort of direct Sandy Road direction. So from what I remember of him.
Yeah.
But after there's been other ones come up and tried to make it. You know what I mean? Just.
Where's Doodley now? Did he sort of just packed it in? Was he an older guy or something? I think I remember seeing him a couple of times.
He was. I think he's actually younger than me.
Was it?
He mightn't look it, but
I remember seeing a Planet Love and going, "Fuck it, he's like old looking."
No, I think he was. I think he was a couple of years younger than I am now.
Jeez.
But he's. I mean, when Eddie went, he went.
He was just started doing Eddie.
You know what I mean?
He was alright MC like, but wasn't nothing like using like at all.
Well, he won Ireland's #1 a couple of times.
I don't know how well.
That's what happens when you work for Baseline magazine.
Yeah, exposure. So Eddie was he a radio DJ at the start with? What was his beginning?
Eddie started on what's now, it was called BCR radio then. Do you know what I mean? The Energy,
I remember listening to his dance
Energy
show.
106, and
yeah.
I mean it's nice City Beat.
Yeah.
Or well, it's probably not even City Beat now.
I don't know what BCR turned into. It might have been City Beat. I'm not sure.
I know it went City Beat, and then it's probably
fucking Q Radio or something.
That's Q Radio. Yeah.
When I was introducing Neil McClelland, he was in here, and I says, City Beat. He went, no, don't work for them no more. It's Cool FM. And I went, sure. Oh crap.
Neil's with He's downtown.
Downtown Cool FM, yeah.
He's downtown now. I remember him back in the day.
Yeah,
now.
Milky, yeah.
Milky, I remember.
I was talking to him a lot about it, like he was Tokyo Joe's and stuff, like, and he was DJ Marabe, and he was like 16 or something, and he was getting bloody free records to his door. What's like?
I will tell you, when I went down to work for Addy and Baseline magazine, I used to get the records, you know, all of the weekly tables coming in. It was my job then to listen to them.
Huh?
And then there was like 6 slots, and it's like Addy Ray, Heiser, Fergie, X-Ray, Binman, Sai,
Yeah.
you know, and a few other DJs.
So you would have went, this is a Tizer record.
That and went, that's, I don't fancy that for Taze. That's more Addy, or that's more Binman, or that's more. Let's keep that for Ray, you know, and see if Ray likes that one. But I can remember Disco Long coming in.
Yeah.
So that, and it was like, at the start I was a wee bit unsure.
Yeah. Was this the queued up one or the original one?
It was the original white label.
Uh-huh.
So it was, and I remember coming in and I remember saying that, listening to it and going, I'm going to keep that for Taze now. I'll let him listen to it, you know. And Eddie came into the shop and he's like, there was a white label coming in today. And I sort of put it to say for, he says, never you mind giving that to Tizer. He says, I've been waiting on that coming in. And again, we put it on, he put it on in the shop then. And,
jeez.
you know, there was like 5 or 6 punters in the shop and they were all like, I want that. Have you got that one? We were like, mate, that's a white label. It's literally only come in the door. Do you know what I mean?
Where was Baseline magazine then? Where was
Lisburn.
Lisburn.
So it was. I used to get the train or the bus up and down.
So you there every day then, or?
Was there most days, aye. Because I was retired then. Do you know what I mean? I get medically discharged from the army, so.
Well, that's good. Did you get in there then?
It was
Perfect
sort of like,
job, dream
it was sort
job?
of like a, you know, do you want to come down and, you know, give us a hand in the shop for a couple of days a week. And
well, that's good, because
it sort of turned into more than that then, you know.
all the DJs had their own identities, like you're saying, different, like a Tizer track and X-Ray and Sai would have been more trance. Binman was always like the harder stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just always like Tizer, Eddie Ray as well, I liked. Tizer just played all like, it's just happy party stuff, wasn't it? Like, and just energetic sort of thing.
That's the sort of stuff we were more in, you know, because that feeds the crowd. You know what I mean? That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, we sort of kind of went with, you know, because we were ending also. I mean, we were closing the night in every set. So I mean, we wanted to make sure.
The big.
You know, we had the big tune, the big, powerful ones. You know,
and if he played them, then they were big tunes.
It was a big tune automatically if he played it like.
Definitely. I remember. Funny, we'll go into the Tizer and MCDC in Dublin sort of tape, but the first time I heard that there was like my mission to get every single song on it, you know, done, and I think I got them all pretty soon after, like, we were going, but that's only the other side of that Rush Hour, that other one, and then In My Dream, or was it, what do you call it? I have a dream. Yeah. I have a dream one. The go and the scratching is the other side of that there, and it was like happy days. I've got them all now. So I had that tape come about. So that is one of the. It's in the top 3 for me. But they're interchangeable, you know. So if the Tizer and you in Dublin, and then you had the Tizer live at Magic Kingdom in Scotland. Yeah, that was a cracker one, like. And then if I'm saying top 3, I can't remember the other one now.
Mix Fast was a good one.
Mix Fast was a good one.
Mix Fast with it.
Yeah. Best of Circus was good. But what about the tape then? How did that come about?
The tape's got about. You're looking at me as if to say, what's the real story here?
I know the real story. I just want you to say it.
There's about 4 stories about.
All right. Okay. Well, we're trying to get the real one then.
So
exclusive here.
The first one is that. And this is actually true. People actually don't believe this. But there is a club called The Garage in Dublin. Or there was. Yeah. I doubt it's there now. So that was the first story. It was made in the garage. But it was the Garage in Dublin. Nightclub. And then the second story is that it was done in Dublin. It was done in Dublin, and then it was re-recorded. And then the third one is that it was just a mess about tape. And it turned into something we didn't expect it to turn into.
I'll tell you what one I heard. I heard that you've done the gig in Dublin, but then you recorded it in his garage
That's true.
after, yeah?
Yes.
Right.
What happened was we were in Dublin, but we're genuinely in. People don't believe we're in Dublin.
Right.
People still think that this concept all happened in Taser's garage. But we were in Dublin, and we did do a set.
Yeah.
And we did do that exact set.
Yeah.
So it was that every record that you hear on Live in Dublin is the set that was played in Dublin, and it was played in that sequence. And it was recorded. But the problem was they only recorded half of it. And that was going to be our first duo tape release. So when he got it back the next day from the guys down in Dublin, and there was only half of it, we couldn't put out half a tape.
Yeah.
You know, it's impossible to put out half a tape. Do you know what I mean? So then we had to go in and try and remember. And luckily enough, he hadn't messed about with his DJ box.
Yeah, so we knew the...
So everything was already sitting in order. Do you know what I mean? So we were able to go then, go through the tape, pull out what we'd played, and then put the second half of the tape together. So half of it was technically done in Dublin.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But technically it was done in Taser's garage as well. So it was just remade in Taser's garage.
You wouldn't have knew, because it's, when I heard it, like, I said, this is definitely a live tape, like, no doubt about it. And
everybody thought it wasn't until the rumour started coming about. Do you know what I mean? And it was actually a guy Taser actually employed at the time called Paul. It was his job to distribute. And it was him started this story. Do you know what I mean? And then I think people bought the tape because of the
You think so?
is it that or is it that? You know, I think it had.
It's like I
think it had. I think that sort of. I'm
One of
going
life's
to have
mysteries.
to buy this and
To
see what
see
this is
that.
like. Do you know what I mean? Because, but as you say, I mean, it sold
Would that been his the biggest one that you think?
I would say so. Yeah.
It was
Well, I know at the time in Baseline magazine, it was the best-selling tape ever that Baseline ever produced.
it was unbelievable, like absolutely unbelievable.
I mean, I still get asked for it. Even now, when we're doing gigs, people come up and say, I'm going to live in Dublin tape, Bobby. You're like, I mean, a tape? Are you kidding me? A tape? I mean, we've done it, we released it probably about 10 years ago on CD.
Yeah, right.
So with it, because there was that many people still asking for a copy of it, and I don't know, somebody give us a copy.
Yeah.
Now I know that you can get it online now. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I've got it. And
I still have my original, my original tape, like. But somebody'd give Taser a copy of the tape, and he took it to somewhere. I think it was somewhere in Duncrew Street, I think. Wasn't it?
Your man duplicate tape.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
So the first time I heard it, I think it was your next door neighbour done the disco dancing. Black hair.
Jackie.
Is that what you call her? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in 20 years or something.
Like Jackie McClellan.
Yes, that's who it is, yeah.
That's a blast from the past.
Yeah. So I went to ironically enough, I was going, my sister done the dancing, and we were on a bus trip to Dublin. We were doing the dancing, and she brought this here tape, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's unbelievable. Every tune was just flipping anthem. And she was like, oh, it's my next door neighbour. And me, what? MCDC? She was like, here's me, no way. I didn't believe her. There you go.
Because when people found out I lived in Rathcoole, they were like, what?
No, yeah.
Where do you live? We're in Rathcoole, living there.
I can believe it. I was like, get me
And
more
even
tapes.
when you say where you're originally from, people say you say the Shangle, people are like,
Yeah.
no way you came out of the Shangle.
Yeah, but I was good. And there's why because then when we were doing the Palm Grove and we booked
I remember
you,
that,
you and Tizer, she told me that you worked up in the sweet shop and in the inn shops, And here's me, right, we need to go, we need to ask him, can they come down? And no lie, I think we walked past your shop about 10 times, getting up the balls to go in to ask you. We're like, no, just keep on walking around. Well, about 10 times then before I went in, and I said to you, like, would you be interested in doing it? So you come down the next Friday, I think it was.
Well, it was a Friday night we done, yeah.
You come down the Friday just to have a look, and then you were like, right, happy days, just get the vibe, and then you and him come down the week after, like. But that was a smashing night, like, so it was absolutely wrong. I think we had 220 in there, and it was only holds 180 or something.
It was rammed up. It was rammed that night. Like.
I bought big horns, and I was only because I didn't have any money, but I spent like 30 quid in these horns, because I was trying to make the rave sort of thing. And fucking guys like trying to push them, but they were clicked on or something, and they broke both of them, and they didn't even get to use any of them. Like, I was raging. But I had that tape, so you Tizer, as we recorded that night, and my mate MC GMCB was like my MC. It's like we sort of modelled on you and Tizer, like I was like copying his DJ, and he's like copying your MCing and sort of stuff. And it was like our dream, because I don't know why our use went on first, and then us, or us and then you, but it was just him, me finishing my set, and then him MCing, handing it over to you, and then you introducing Tizer, and then I got that on tape, and I was just like, this is a dream come true, And somebody stole it, so on tape. I wish I had that there still, because it was like a one that you want to keep.
Yeah, it's one of the ones you want to keep. Why?
Yeah.
As I say, I still have the original.
Yeah.
And that's when I mean the original. I mean the actual original that came out of the hi-fi. I still have that one.
So do you still keep all your tapes and stuff, or what?
I've given stuff away over the years. I had different MCDC t-shirts and just jackets and baseline. When we went on tour with baseline, you got a tour jacket, and just over the years, just.
Yeah, things just get lost.
There's actually a guy from, do you know Ronnie Rockcore, do you?
No.
From the estate, no?
No.
Ronnie's, Ronnie Maxwell, I guess his second name is. But he's big into the rockcore stuff at the minute.
Yeah.
Him and MC Mooney are sort of, doing a lot of work around Northern Ireland at the minute. And he was a big Tizer DC fan. At the last gig, official last gig, a couple of years ago, he actually came up and asked. He actually got my t-shirts and stuff. He asked me for them. But just over the years, I've given stuff away, and charity things come with Darren. And we were talking about Darren earlier. Darren asked me for a couple of bits and pieces for over the years to sell on for his cancer charities and stuff. So I'll give him a lot of original circus merchandise signed, and got Tizer to sign it as well. Do you know what I mean? Just to help him out,
Yeah, that's kind of the things that you want to try and keep. Like, I've still got the flyer for the one, the Palm Grove. I've
still got my first flyer from circus. Yeah. And that would never be giveaway.
Yeah.
I've still got the first interview done with Baseline.
Right.
The only interview I've ever done, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I loved reading Baseline, like just picking it up and seeing what was happening in the scene. There should be something like that now, like sort of just because it felt like a unity, like
I sort of thought Planet Love Inc. Would have taken and run with like a new Baseline type magazine type.
Yeah.
I thought sort of Planet Love would have done over the years, but they haven't. So. But you look at Mix Mag, you know what I mean? It's one of the most popular selling magazines still. And we were reading it in the 90s, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
they had M8 magazine as well.
M8 magazine as well, yeah.
The Scottish one. And then they fell out for a while, didn't they?
They did, I remember actually we went over to M8 night in Glasgow. So we thought that was an adventure.
Did you play the Foo Bar?
That was at the Foo Bar. That was it, that was a nightmare.
Right.
We went over there with Baseline magazine. There's a funny story behind that. So, there's 6 buses.
Yeah.
From here. Going to the Foo Bar. And obviously, Baseline magazine sold all the tickets and stuff, and you pay for your ticket and you pay for your boat fare as one. So, concept was one of us, Matty, Case, me, doodly. We'd all run our own bus, so it would be like, somebody from.
Yeah.
So I got the Banbridge bus. So I was running the Banbridge bus, blah blah blah. Get up into Belfast, no problem. Got onto the boat, and as you can imagine, 6 bus loads of ravers just took over the boat. Literally, just there was music, ghetto system set up, and we raved from Belfast to Stranraer. And when we got to Stranraer, the police was waiting on us.
Oh jeez.
So they were, and they stopped the whole lot of us, every single coach.
So did they get there at all? Or?
Well, what happened was there was 5 Ulster buses,
Yeah.
and I was in a private coach, not Ulster bus.
So you got away.
So I was the only bus. We were the only bus that was actually let go. And Tizer, Eddie, and all the rest of them were all kept behind in Stranraer. And the buses were all searched. People were taken away and strip searched.
Oh god.
And there was a whole rigmarole. And they got to the food bar, I think, with about a half an hour to spare.
I'm sure that was the bus was flying down there.
It was a nightmare. So you're confident on the where are you due to go on in an hour? Hurry up,
I guess you're there with no DJ.
No DJ. You know what I mean? And literally, there was no DJ. I was the MC. I was the MC. I run the bus. So and the DJs were all on. They were all individual. There were other individual buses, but it was funny.
Well, if the Fever had said to you, well, we've got records, you can DJ too.
Oh, no, there's not a chance. I mean, the amount of time. It's almost 30 years me and Tizer together. We'll be 30 years next year. Oof, that's scary. You think about it, isn't it? So I've watched him for 30 years, but I couldn't even put 2 records and mix one into the other one. I literally couldn't.
Never
Do you know
tried.
what I mean? I've never ever tried.
What about the Scottish MCs? What ones did you like from her?
Lively was immense. Absolutely immense. There was an MC Ron.
I remember.
Never mind you.
The big American guy.
The big American guy. He was immense. Malurka Lee. Yeah. Obviously. MCB was another one.
I quite like Voyager too.
He was very good, so he was.
Good voice. And
I'm trying to remember them all, half of their names. There was a guy at Newcastle as well. He was
Madman, is it?
Madman. He was very good. So he was.
Yeah. Madman.
But most of the MCs then were with the groups.
Yeah.
They didn't do sort of DJ sets, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you had Voyager was with QFX, wasn't it?
Yep.
B, Ultimate Buzz.
Malurka Lee with Ultrasonic.
Yeah.
Lively was he Day Witness?
Yeah, it might have been Trevor Riley.
Yeah, I think he was Day Witness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another underestimated group as well.
Day Witness, I know.
They put some tunes out like.
Didn't know, like Master Plan.
Aye, Master Plan's like one of the best.
It's unbelievable. Like, do you ever listen to GBX in Scotland radio show?
Is that Ben's? Is that the one Ben's on?
No, George Boy.
No.
It's actually their main radio station. Like Cool FM's ours.
Yeah.
It's for the Bar Foundation, Bar organisation or whatever. So Cool FM's the one for Northern Ireland and Clyde One, you call it. And then he has a show on every Saturday night called GBX, and he still plays like Die Witness, Master Plan, and bits and pieces. And he's like, there's still love, all that stuff.
I will say I'm sort of my Friday nights and Saturday nights are linked into two DJs here who put Facebook Live.
Right.
So I would sort of be on listening to them on a Friday and a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Jason Henderson's usually on the Friday night.
Yeah.
And then DJ Maximus then he usually does the Saturday night. So Saturday or Sunday he would usually do.
He's quite a good DJ too, isn't he? Like?
Well, he's a prodigy. He's a prodigy at Tizers. Like.
Yeah. I was talking to Tizer a couple of weeks ago and he got me to phone him.
God love you.
But I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh, I was saying about Maximus. Like, say, he just sort of come out of nowhere, didn't he? And then sort of just, Tizer was showing him how to do stuff, and he's quite good. Like, I like watching him.
I think he's probably I've said it to Tizer, and do you know what I mean? I've said it to Max as well, but I think he's probably better now than what Tizer was back in the day.
Oh, I don't know. Like, Tizer just.
I don't give that. I don't give that accolade out to. I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Because I've worked with Tony that long. Do you know what I mean?
See, the difference is Maximus seen Tizer, and so he done that.
That's it.
And
He can take.
But Tizer was like innovative for his time. Like he was a pioneer at his time. It was like all this was all new. Sort of.
100%.
He just sort of came on with it, up with that in the spotlight. What about Craig Dazelle as well? Have you seen he's some DJ too on there?
I love Craig.
Jeez.
So I played a couple of gigs with Craig through Ties.
Yeah.
I was actually up in the studio there last year. It was during lockdown.
Yeah.
I went up into the studio and he wanted me to do a few headlines for him, so he could sort of put it on at the front of his
all right.
front of his set, sort of like an introducing thing. Do you know what I mean? So I went up and done a wee bit for Craig up there in the studio.
He's a real good DJ too. Like.
I love him.
Yeah.
So I love him.
I always say like I gave him his first DJ shot down the Palm Grove. When he was like 15 or something. Still, it's good. So we were at to exit 15. How long did that go on for? It's about 2 years or something.
Exit was about. I think we got about 18 months, 2 years out of the exit. And then it closed.
Things seemed to go a lot slower back then. It feels like they were around forever, but it was only like a couple of years.
It seemed like Exit had been there for like 10 years, but as you say, it was 2 years and it was done. And now it's a car showroom.
Is it?
I actually drove past it a couple of weeks ago and I was like,
oh no.
No way that is a car showroom.
It's so funny, and then like all the iconic places are just.
And the mat's just lying in a heap. So honest.
Were you ever down the mat?
No.
Never get to do.
Never done the mat, and believe it or not, I never done Callie's.
No.
No.
Jeez.
Biggest regret. Never ever getting to do Callie's because Taser. In fact, when Taser left Circus, he went to Intelligence.
Yeah.
For a wee while, and they had their own MC then. Do you know what I mean? Benji G. Guy, I'm trying to remember his Nigel Given was his real name. But he was he lives between Kilray and Cullybacky. Sort of in there. He actually met my sister-in-law. But he was a Callie's resident, do you know what I mean? And I couldn't get in, because he was resident. So
Intelligence was massive too, weren't they?
It was huge. It was huge. Intelligence. That was Ray.
Yeah.
Taser, Trevor Rayleigh. I mean, they were all in on that concept. Paddy Fraser.
Yeah.
Oh, there were some good nights there. Like there was the Camelot nights, especially.
Yeah. Sir Scratch-a-Lot.
Sir Scratch-a-Lot, yeah.
I think I still remember that flyer. M Zone.
I think I've still got it, actually, if I'm being honest. And then Planet Love then was born.
Yeah.
You had the first Planet Love then over at Loch Ness.
Yeah, I was at that one. Flipping midgies.
People don't remember that one.
Do they not? No.
When you say Planet Love, people will say, "Oh, Notts Corner."
Yeah.
And you go, "No, it wasn't the first. Oh, no, the first one was definitely at Notts Corner." And no, mate, it was around in Arbo.
Yeah.
On the banks of the River of Loch Ness, we all get ate alive.
Yeah, but I know. It was a nightmare, like.
That was a nightmare. Even to get to it, that was a nightmare gig.
I think that's why I only was there for 1 year.
I think it was. I probably was. I was only there for 1 year.
Scrap that. We'll go to Notts Corner.
But we had that after Exit or during Exit. They had the first, and Planet Love was born, and then Exit closed, and then we went to Kilwater.
What was your favourites? Obviously, Circus. Then would you say?
Well, my favourite is Circus because I clubbed in Circus first.
Oh yeah.
Because I raved in it before I worked in it. Do you know what I mean? So Circus would always be my. If I could go back in time to one night, it would have to be a Circus night.
Yeah. Kilwater was good too. Like.
I loved Kilwater.
Yeah.
Because again, the crowd. I mean, they loved it. I mean, every time you went to Coolwater, the crew were right up for it. Do you know what I
You
mean?
had the hardcore people, the followers that just would have went
Just
anywhere.
would have went. Doesn't matter where you went. Do you know what I mean? You seen the same faces. I mean, Big Kevin, Big Kev he's actually from Kilkeel,
Right.
and he doesn't matter where we are. Literally. And another one's a guy called Clive Beggs. He's from Drumore or Drumara, down that direction. But it doesn't matter where we are. The two of them are front and centre.
Yeah.
And you could be anywhere, in Scotland. I mean, we played a gig in Scotland, the two of them were standing there. We were like,
Where are we?
what the, so we sort of did have our, our groupies,
Your hardcore fans.
our hardcore fans
Use of fun.
they used to follow us about, like.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like,
And we still have,
yeah,
even now. I mean, Taser posted a gig we're talking about it earlier on there for last night. He put one up, Berlurgan, and everybody's on. I haven't seen you in 30 years. We'll definitely be down. We'll definitely be down. So
yeah, it should be a good one. I'm glad he's still doing the odd one. Like, 'cause it is good just to see it again.
it's good to get hit.
I don't.
So it is.
Because we don't do it much now.
Don't do it as much as we used to.
Don't know
Like.
about you, I don't like.
Well, I definitely don't mean it's. I think I've only had two this year. I think.
Huh?
I think we've only been out twice, and then at Belfast Goes Large was cancelled this year as well. So
That was a pity one.
that was a pity. That was a hell of a lineup.
And the last one too was the one you were there. Was fucking class.
Well, I done the winter one, and then I'd done the summer, the previous summer one.
Yeah.
It was.
I love that.
It was off the chart, like.
So my set was the same time as yours and Tyser's.
Aye.
So I got Danny to put mine on earlier so I could go in and watch yous. And then when I went in, Maximus was on. I was like, what's going on? He's like, Tyser went on first and then he's gone on second. I was like, fuck, I changed it around. I missed it anyway. But I'm sure it was good night anyway. Like, my missus loved it, like listening to all the hardcore stuff as well.
My missus hates it.
Does she?
Oh, she hates it. She
Jeez.
just does. I go down, she's going, not playing that again, are you? You're like, you have to get ready for,
Yeah,
getting ready to go out for the night out. How old are you? I mean, seriously?
Did she like it back in the day?
Oh, she loved it back in the day. Do you know what I mean? I actually met her in Circus. We actually met in Circus, so.
Yeah. It's not your chance, just reliving your...
I'm just trying to relive my youth, mate. You know what I mean? Just as you do.
Yeah. I went to Coolwater once. I think that was the first time. Might have been the first. No, it wasn't the first time I've seen Tyser, but it was the first time I'd been in one of those iconic clubs. It was in under 18s, like. Just seeing the house thing on the ceiling.
Aye.
Just like a strobe sort of thing, like, and I can't remember, like a big white covers or something just all down. Oh, it was class, like.
Coolwater was brilliant.
Yeah.
So it was. Because, like, I mean, the way the stage and all was set, and the DJ box in the corner, and then the stage just off it, and the crowd just right, below you, but just at the right height,
Yeah.
Oh, it was immense. So it was a brilliant club. So it was.
And where's it now too? Is it?
It's an old people's home.
Same people again.
So Circus, which is a bingo club. We have Coolwater, which is a retirement home now.
Oh, jeez.
So I suppose some of the clubbers may end up in
Back in
it.
Coolwater again. On
Do you know what I mean? Just on the.
What'd you do there? So at their Circus, then you went exit. Then it was Coolwater. What happened then after that? There, this was the hardcore was sort of maybe
Was Danny.
the end of it.
That was
then?
the end of it. So it was sort of coming towards the end of Coolwater. And it sort of died, and it sort of went back to the house scene.
Yeah,
So it had
like the bouncy house scene.
the bouncy house scene.
It happens all the time. The music gets faster and then it drops away down, and then it comes up and then down, and
Some of that stuff at the minute,
yeah.
it's
Like it or
no.
no? Is this the raw style?
It's
or
raw style. It's my daughter and all's into it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I mean, they grew up on on me and Tyser stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how they're listening to that.
I know, because it's like Pete Death Punch. I know him. Like, you know.
I know Pete myself.
And I went in. Here's me. I'll go up in here. What it's like now, you know. And I went in. It was a. And I was 5 minutes, and I was out of there. Like,
right. I done one last year at. Well, it was actually series of gigs in the Atlantic Bar in Portrush.
Oh, sure, it was there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Death Punch, yeah.
And Death Punch was on, yeah.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
that just took me to a different level. So with that I was like, high, and he just high can you even?
I think it's like over 200 BPM.
And then Ben was saying to me, "You MC that?" And I was like, what? How could you MC to that? There's no chance you could MC to that music.
Oh, no. That's fine. Just in the breakdown or something, just say, put your hands up, that's it.
It's, as I say, in between the breaks is the only time you can actually open your mouth. Do you know what I mean? Because you'd need to be going at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy, like. And out there, it's quite big, that there sort of stuff. At the minute,
It's
like.
huge.
Yeah.
I mean, Death Punch is took off. I mean, he's over doing festivals.
Creamfields and all, he was out there.
And he was over and done the big one in Amsterdam and all there. So he was, so
happy day. Good to see him, like. Yeah, I'm doing it. But I would never have thought that.
it's good to see people from Northern Ireland keeping the the scene alive. You know,
So many good DJs from here, like. Like killing it at the minute.
there's been a load of good DJs come out in Northern Ireland, and there's been a lot of people that haven't got the yourself. Do you know what I mean? You and Jamie. I mean, you and Jamie never got any of the recognition you deserved. Do you know what I mean?
Well, keep going. But there's loads.
But if you think back, DJs that done gigs with you over the years, and they were brilliant. I mean, there were some really. I mean, DJ Franco. I mean, out of Circus, and Circus was. You never heard of him again.
Yeah.
Neil Irvine was another one.
And
Neil Irvine was a brilliant DJ. So he was. He, again, never got any of the recognition.
And Jordy Parker as well.
There's another one, aye.
Sad, like.
Jordy was a brilliant DJ. So he was. Had all the tour. He just couldn't get the gigs.
Don't know what happened. That's sad. It's amazing, like.
They'd rather bring somebody from across the water and than give a local guy a chance. Do you know what I mean? That's sad, like,
It is sort of cutthroat in a sense, like, in it, like.
But when it first started, if you go back to 94, 93, 94, you put a tape in, you give it, put your tape into a DJ, and 9 times out of 10, you got a phone call, like, come on down, do a wee half hour. You don't get that now,
Yeah. That's weird.
It's very limited, places for young DJs coming up.
And there's no like iconic clubs like Circus or
That's
anything
it.
like that.
There's none left now. Do you know what I mean? They're all gone.
Even the Coach doesn't have the same recognition anymore. Like, I wouldn't even know who DJs
Coach is
on
closed.
Coach. Is it? Oh, that's right. That's cool.
Coach closed last year.
That's right. He wasn't renewing his license or something.
Oh, he's like, that's again. I think that's turned into another old people song.
There's Dan Kelly's isn't there?
Kelly's Tracks isn't there? I think the only one that I know still going is, well, it's probably got a different name now, but Clubland in Cookstown.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that I know. It's of the originals.
Yeah, that's a good spot there.
It's still going. It's always got a good crowd. Always well up for it.
Not the one where the bars beside the DJ box. So you're just like...
So handy. So handy.
I remember thinking, this is the best setup I've ever seen.
It actually is one, because they just slide your beer to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just got normal hammer.
Just
slide across to you. And to be fair, you never pay for a drink in the place.
Yeah. I don't think it was DJing. I think it was just driving somebody at the time. Can't remember who it was. DJ down. But I remember thinking, this is ideal.
Oh, Taser got lynched. So he got absolutely mortified. I mean, because the bar's right beside him. Do you know what I mean? He's just bang. I think we carried him out of Cookstown.
I remember
not be the first time, not be the first place we carried him out of. Like, but
as basically like he could still do what he'd done, like, in the other time.
I mean, I can remember doing 3 gigs in a night.
Yeah.
Starting off in Lurgan, in a wee youth club, like under 16, doing one there, and then maybe heading out to Cookstown, doing Cookstown, and then having to drive to Portrush and get them 3 in, and then drive him from Portrush back to Banbridge, and then me from Banbridge back to Belfast. Do you know what I mean? So
Nightmare. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember when my big Pongo, he says, he needs a bottle of Buckfast too.
Aye, that's and he doesn't matter what gig it was. Do you know what I mean? Bottle of Buckfast had to be supplied.
That stuff is rank, like.
I hate it.
Oh, God.
And people say to me, "Hey, Bucky, do you want to?" I go,
Not a chance.
"I hate the stuff." They go, "Hey, do you hate it when you work with him?" I said, "No, give it to him."
When I was in Scotland, they were like, have to get a picture of you drinking Buckfast. And I was like, and then I just started around, I don't even drink it.
Because it's a big thing in Scotland as well,
like
the Buckfast.
And they're champagne or something. Like.
Aye. Lurgan champagne, that's what the Taser calls it. So aye. He calls it Lurgan champagne.
Oh,
so
jeez, it's Balkan. So, geez, were you thinking then when the hardcore was down out, what will we do here? Like, just switch genres or what?
I think Taser was seriously considering switching.
Yeah.
And then we do what we do best.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we just end up sticking with what.
And it was good. It was like struggle there for a while, but then the old school people wanted the old school nights, so we would have got gigs for that there.
That's what I'm saying. We've sort of over the last 2 years, we're sort of coming back a wee bit more now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the old school is a genre in itself.
But
really,
trying to dance across the stage in your 50s,
I know.
a wee bit different than when you're 20. You know.
I always say, I wonder what it's going to be like in the old people's home whenever we're there, because you know the way they have dances for their music back in them days.
Aye, I know.
But they got bits and pieces.
And Heart of Gold. And
sit down, there's bits and pieces all to shut you up. Yeah, that would be good. Like, so what was your favourite happy hardcore tune then? Would have been Disco Land.
Aye. Heart of Gold as well.
Yeah.
Heart of Gold. But I mean, my is I Saw an Angel.
Yeah.
That's my number one. Of all, if you go back through, that's my number. That's my number one too.
It's amazing how many tunes from that era are still like massive today.
Yeah.
I was doing this. I was playing the standard a couple of weeks ago, and I finished with Heart of Gold. Like, you know, it was the last song.
I still love it.
Yeah.
People come up and ask for it. Do you know what I mean? People doing. You're not.
The first time I heard
you're not supposed to, in that sense. Do you know what I mean? You know, coming up and asking Taser to play a record. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't usually do it, but Heart of Gold and bits and pieces. I mean, they'll always be.
I know, it's mad. I remember the first time I heard Heart of Gold was on the Dublin tape actually, and I was just blown away by it. It was like nothing you'd ever heard before. No. Like nothing.
No. It's a tune by itself. Like, it's just.
It is. The music I sort of play now is sort of like it's 150 BPM, which is 20 BPM slower, but I still remix all the Heart of Golds and Disco Lands. So I just keep recycling them all the time. And there they are. Such go down a treat. So what are you up to these days? Like, or just
nothing. I'm a granda sitting in the house, minding grandbabies basically.
Listening to hardcore.
Trying to get them into it now, do you know what I mean? So
and it is funny. Like,
we'll get the odd gig, you know, we're supposed to do Plant Love this year, so we're disappointed on that fell through on us. And he's this one in Lurgan here in a couple of weeks. So
what about the one, didn't you go to Australia?
Yeah.
Was that in Taser's garage or was that in Australia?
No, it was that was literally Australia. Yeah,
I heard that. There.
No, we've been all over them. You know, I've seen. You know, Germany. You know, we played in Germany. We've played in.
Jeez, what year was the Germany one?
When were we in Germany? In 96, 97.
Oh, brilliant! That would have been right in the good
era. Where else were we? We're Norway. Australia twice. New Zealand. All over England, all over Scotland. I'm trying to remember. We're about to do Malta, and it fell through. I was sort of raging about it because it's a place I've always wanted to go to be fair. And I had a booking for it, and we got cancelled for it. So,
what year was that then?
That would have been 96 or 97.
Okay. Malta.
So that was right at when the Live in Dublin tape was at its
right. So that must have reached
it reached
everywhere.
that there tape got us. I mean, it got us to Australia. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Really?
That tape brought us to Australia. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, I heard one of the live ones in Australia.
The Bondi Beach one.
Yeah.
Aye.
How many people was there? Because it sounded like it was about 100,000.
It's see, because you're on in an outside area, it's like Planet Love. You never know how many people's there. I mean, the first Planet Love was we say Loch Ness. There was 6,000 people there, but there wasn't. Can you remember 6,000 people being there? Because I can't. But there was. There were 6,000 people, and it was a sellout. So and in an outside area, it's
Yeah.
I would say there was probably 10 or 15,000 people there, but I would say there was only 2,000 people at the first Planet Love.
Yeah. It sounded like
It was bunked.
hundreds.
It was bunked.
Yeah. It's good sound. Sure,
It's the Live in Dublin tape.
Yeah.
It's them tunes they want. That's the tunes. That's the tunes they want to hear. As you said, every one on that tape's a banger.
Aye, absolutely.
An absolute banger, and that's the ones everybody sort of still wants to hear. Even now, they still want to hear them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't get sick of them either, like, sure you don't.
No, I wouldn't get sick of that tape. And I'm on it, so I don't like listening to myself back. So
was the hardest one I tape, or the hardest song I got, or had to get from it, was the Imagination one. The way it breaks down, go darn, and then you go give it up now, darn.
Yeah,
I couldn't find that song for years. Like, I think it wasn't Seduction. Imagine, it was Corrosive. Here Comes the Noise or something. I think you called it. Oh, it's about there. Like, I love that one. I went off on tangent. I had something in my head there. So, what would be the best one, like, for outside Northern Ireland gig ways? Would you say you've done?
Outside Northern Ireland, the Foo Bar would be up there because it was magical. It literally was. It's such an iconic club, and such iconic ravers in it in the club. And I mean, they come from all over to go to the Foo Bar. Literally, all over Scotland, all over England. They come from everywhere.
It's still going.
But the best, it has to be Australia.
Yeah.
For where it was, and the iconic location of where it was. That there's the...
And was the sun shining down, roasting?
It's...
Paradise?
It was paradise. It literally was paradise. Do you know what I mean? And if you're going back to one gig, maybe that you would want to go back to.
Yeah.
I say Circus, but that's because it's for a club night. I'd want to go back to Circus, but if you're taking me to... I would definitely go back to Australia.
Oh, definitely. Well, it would have been brilliant to see it, like, even just to go to Australia. I think I've been out of the UK about 5 times, and it's been to Spain.
I've been out of the UK more times with him.
Do you know
what I mean? And I have with my family, like, do you know what I mean? So
what was the Germany one like? Where they
Germany, it's you know what Germans are. I mean, the Germans love their rave. Do you know what I mean? We've done about 5 or 6 over Germany. Do you know what I mean? We weren't selected to one. Do you know?
How does people booking is where there's through baseline then, or
through baseline through Addy? I don't mean. I didn't take anything to do with any of that sort of stuff, but I would. Most things all come through Addy then. Do you know what I mean? Baseline magazine. Yeah. Because Baseline promoted the tape.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you look at the original tape, it says Baseline down the side of it. So. And then that's the tour came about to that, through that tape. Do you know what I mean? So
it was such a magical time, like just for the.
And it's amazing that one hour and a half tape. You know what I mean? That's 30 years later, we're still riding that on that one tape.
I'm still talking about it here, like. It was immense. Like, I just loved to go back to that feeling of hearing it for the first time, and and go, what's this song? Just like, oh well, that's what happens when you get older, isn't it?
That's it. You have to search back on the memory bank.
Anything else you can think of? It's hard when people say that, like. Any good nights you remember or whatever?
I can remember doing the shebeens.
Yeah. Where was it?
After Kilwater.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of, the shebeens sort of came in and around the time Kilwater was on.
Yeah.
I would done one in the Glencairn. Yeah. the bottom of Glencairn one night, Saturday night after Kilwater, and Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, they were literally standing outside. Literally.
The Shebeen nights were right.
They were actually outside the Shebeen, the Glencairn, raving in Glencairn Park. Do you know what I mean? Because they couldn't fit everybody in. They actually opened the back doors so people could hear the music out the back doors.
Like 6 in the morning.
It was madness, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just some of the Shebeens were like crazy because everybody was just like big an after hours club.
And then the Avenue Bar as well, over in East Belfast, that used to open sort of late on, you know.
That was good.
With Jim Gray.
Yeah.
He used to host some mad nights with it.
Yeah.
Jim Gray, well,
Imagine.
And then the Knightsbridge was always good. And Bangor. I always loved Bangor. Do you know what I mean?
What was the Bangor Club?
Jesus. It was Haggerty's was the original.
The Haggerty's were above Betty Black's.
That's I think it's Betty Black's now, isn't it?
Betty Black's like the bar, isn't it?
Aye. And then the upstairs part of it,
I don't know what do you call it now.
What's been Mint?
Cafe Cleo.
It's been Cafe Cleo. It's been that many names, that club, so it has. But the original was Haggerty's. So it was
everybody talking about that.
Well, that was Friday night, see. You've done Haggerty's the Friday night, Circus the Saturday night, and usually done there was a wee place down in White Abbey. The Glenavon Hotel.
Yeah.
And it used to do a Sunday. Mm-hmm. So with that. So that was sort of your weekend, do you know what I mean? You Bangor on a Friday night. Banbridge a Saturday night, and then you went into the relaxed atmosphere of the Glenavon on a Sunday.
Glenavon, that's houses now, for flip's sake.
Aye, but that was sort of our weekend. Do you know what I mean?
And could you imagine doing that now?
I really think I could do 2 gigs back to back.
Well,
so I do.
I know when I go for a night out, I sleep for the next 2 days. For flip's sake.
I mean, we done Planet Love last year, and I think it took me like 3 days to get over it.
I always loved Tiger Set that and Planet Love's like I remember the one he started, I can't remember what one it was, with the Strictly Verbal, you know, that and I was just like, yeah.
Short Dick Man was his best intro. I loved that intro. Do you know what I mean?
And River Baby started as well. Because it was a scratching, wasn't it, like that?
Aye. The Short Dick Man one I thought was always because it was very intricate and very scratching and mixing and drops and it's
immense.
It's just a work. He used to watch his hands.
Yeah, you're done. Even when he says he was quitting a few years ago. Even people like Mark Sherry and all were like going, "Man, I used to watch you in circus and go." Like,
I know people are still like that. You still get people coming up and all they do is just
what?
They just stare at him. They just stare at his hands. You know, the amount of people over the years that's done it. You know, they just come up and they're just mesmerised by the speed of his hands.
Yeah, that's class. Hopefully it continues getting more load of good gigs. Ones to remember, like.
I would like Planet Love one more time.
Yeah.
Before we give it up, you know.
It's a pity this one. It's just kind of new sound of people. There's like coming to say Multunes and Dara and people like that there. Like that's just come on the scene really quickly.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I thought because of the 25th anniversary, I thought
I would have been told that.
It would have been sort of
a rendezvous.
It would have been good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For what the concept that we had lined up, it would have been. I mean, Hixie and Sharky and you know what a crescendo to a you know.
What other DJs did you like then? You mentioned Hixie and stuff.
Hixie, Ramos, Supreme. I loved Ray. I still do X-Ray. Still love X-Ray.
To be honest, back then I didn't pay much attention to X-Ray because I was just sort of full Tizer. Then there was no like big vocal things, but it's only now listening back I can appreciate that sort of sound and that fancy sort of
Ray
thing.
was brilliant. Trying to think of some of the Scottish ones. Trevor O'Reilly. Carl Cox. Yeah. Carl Cox was a legend. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Still, I mean, he's still pumping out now. I mean, he was in Belfast there last week.
I know, doing 12-hour sets.
Do you know what I mean? Doing a 12-hour set. So, you know, that man's got to be
Yeah.
He's got to be close to 60, that man. He's got to be. But Trevor Riley. I really love Trevor Riley.
Yeah.
And Darrell, as I say, was said at the
back
start
then.
there, but right back in the day, Darrell to me was God, you know. And then I met Taser, so
Yep.
it sort of went from Darrell to Taze, you know.
Good times, like. So we'll probably do it there.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
I'm busting for pee. That's why I could talk here for hours, like. But thanks for coming down. Like I said, a message, and like I love listening to all this sort of stuff because I lived it from the outside, if you know what I mean. I couldn't really like get into any of the clubs and stuff like that because I was always like a wee tennis, so I couldn't even pretend to be a team.
Couldn't even pretend to be a team to get in.
So it's like Swedish shops around the corner, mate. Like so, but thanks very much, and hopefully Tizer comes down as well, and
I'll have a word.
yeah. And you can get down too as well.
I'll get him in.
Yeah, how it is. So thanks again.
You need me to go down, lift him, bring him up, but that's going to be easy to arrange.
All right, no bar. Thanks very
Rob.
much, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.